prime. 3 seconds to atmospheric breach.
Let's talk name recognition for a moment. You may not know the name Treasure, but you're probably familiar with the developer's work. Their resume includes stuff like Gunstar Heroes, Ikaruga, Radiant Silvergun. Indeed, some of the most intense and well-respected shooters of all time emerged from the halls of this fabled Japanese studio, including another name you may not know: Sin and Punishment. Like many of Treasure's other releases, Sin and Punishment was a critically acclaimed shooter, and aided in development by Nintendo's R&D 1 team, it was easily one of the most impressive games released for the Nintendo 64. But sadly, it was a masterpiece North American gamers never got to experience. Sin and Punishment was released only in Japan during its original run in the year 2000. And that is why this is such a shock. That's why I still can't believe I'm actually holding a copy of Sin and Punishment Star Successor, a sequel to a 10-year-old cult classic we were never allowed to play. Whether you're a Nintendo devotee or simply an admirer of gaming at its most challenging and unforgiving, that's why Sin and Punishment Star Successor is something worth being excited about. Well, that and the fact that it's easily one of the most intense Wii games to date. Like its exalted Nintendo 64 ancestor, Star Successor is kinda like an on-rails shooter, but to leave its description at that would be a disservice to the game and the decade-long wait its fans have painstakingly endured. Yeah, Star Successor is sorta like an on-rails shooter. It's also one of the most frantic and pulse-quickening games you'll play this year, certainly on Wii. It's a game that deserves all the praise it's received, and it's great to see Nintendo finally bring this series to the States. Star Successor gives you one brief tutorial stage to learn its mechanics before throwing you forcefully into the first of its brutal levels. Prolonged stretches of seemingly thousands of swarming enemies. You'll fight them off by moving your character with the nunchuck's analog stick and holding B on the Wii Remote to fire unlimited ammunition. You can unleash a charge shot that locks onto targets with the A button and dodge enemy fire with the Z button on the back of the nunchuck. It does take a level or two to get used to the game's controls, but once you've figured them out, you'll have no trouble controlling Star Successor. It feels great to play, especially with the accuracy of the Wii Remote's pointer, almost as if the series and the system were made for each other. And that's a very good thing because given the game's addictive nature, deep scoring system, and online leaderboards, you'll definitely be spending a lot of time with the controllers in hand. One of Treasure's calling cards is the difficulty it tends to inject into its work, and in Star Successor, that injection acts like a vaccine that will probably keep the casuals away. There's no way around it, this game is very challenging. It's a sometimes prohibitively difficult jaunt through bullet hell, an experience in old-school savagery some will call a masochistic exercise in self-abuse. Of course, those for whom the game resonates we'll just call it awesome. Star Successor has the feel of a relentlessly thrilling Hollywood action movie, a feeling obviously due in large part to its constant barrage of enemies and the fact that the game rarely takes a breather. But that vibe is perpetuated by the game's boss battles. After decades of clashing with similar bosses in video games, they can often feel a bit contrived. But Star Successor's bosses boast clever designs, are rewarding to defeat, and seem to be waiting around every corner. The game sacrifices storytelling in its relentless pursuit of action, but hidden somewhere within Star Successor is a discussion about humanity, a discourse which takes place on a dystopian Earth seemingly bereft of naturally occurring life. Land and water, which were once teeming ecosystems, have been suffused by creatures which are neither natural or mechanical, at least not entirely. And as you try to survive this strange world, the echo of constant explosions masks a profound question. What makes two people only half human? Of course, that is all very hidden. The action is so emphasized, it's impossible to explore the game's doctrines, if it really has any in the first place. Indeed, what could be a potentially relevant narrative about the definition of humanity is relegated only to occasional and casual exploration. The story buried beneath the bullets is at odds with the game's exhilaratingly action-focused ethos. Don't think, just destroy. And really, that's exactly the way Sin and Punishment should be.